You do something strange. You've probably done it today without even noticing. Maybe you caught yourself talking out loud in an empty room. Maybe you stayed up until 3 in the morning, wide awake, while the rest of the world slept. Maybe your desk looks like a disaster, and you swear you know where everything is. Most people would call these habits weird. A little embarrassing, even. Something to hide. But researchers have found something surprising. Many of the behaviors we treat as flaws are actually quiet signals of a fast, unusual mind. By the end of this video, you'll recognize 10 of them. And you may realize that the parts of yourself you've been apologizing for are the very things that prove how intelligent you actually are. Here's what makes this fascinating. Intelligence doesn't always show up the way we expect. We picture the straight-A student, the person who finishes the test first, the one with all the right answers. But real intelligence, the kind that shows up in how a person actually lives, tends to leak out in strange, everyday ways. In the habits, in the quirks, in the small things that make other people raise an eyebrow. Psychologists have spent decades studying these patterns, and what they keep finding is that a high-functioning mind often comes wrapped in behavior that looks, from the outside, a little bit odd. We're going to walk through 10 of these habits. Some will surprise you, some you'll recognize instantly, and at least one of them, I'd guess, you did this week. Let's start with the one people are most embarrassed about. You talk to yourself. Out loud. Not in a dramatic way. Just little comments under your breath. Okay, where did I put that? A running narration nobody else can hear. And every time you catch yourself doing it, part of you cringes. Don't. Psychologist Gary Lupien ran experiments showing that people who talk to themselves out loud actually find objects faster and think more clearly. Speaking a thought out loud sharpens it. The sound of your own voice acts like a second set of hands organizing the mind while it works. So the next time you narrate your way through a messy kitchen or a hard problem, understand what's really happening. That isn't a glitch. That's a brain using every tool it has. But talking out loud is only the surface. The next habit happens completely inside your head, and most people have no idea it's a sign of anything. You drift off. Constantly. Mid-conversation, mid-task, mid-sentence, your mind wanders somewhere else entirely. People call it spacing out. Teachers once called it a problem. But neuroscientist Eric Schumacher and his team at Georgia Tech found something remarkable. People whose minds wander the most often have more efficient brains, more capacity, not less. Their measurements showed that heavy daydreamers scored higher on tests of intelligence and creativity. The wandering isn't wasted time. It's a mind so quick it finishes the task and goes looking for more. So if you've been told you don't pay attention, look closer. You may be paying attention to more things than the people around you can even see. Now here's one that plays out not in your head, but all around you, in the space where you work. Your space is a mess, and somehow you thrive in it. Papers everywhere. Cups you forgot about. A system only you understand. People keep telling you to clean it up, and something in you quietly resists. There may be a reason. Psychologist Kathleen Vose at the University of Minnesota ran a study where people worked in either a tidy room or a messy one. The people in the messy room came up with more creative, more original ideas. Disorder, it turns out, can free the mind to make connections a clean room never would. So that chaos on your desk might not be a lack of discipline. It might be the exact environment your mind needs to do its best thinking. And this next one? Society has been judging it for centuries, usually completely wrong. You come alive at night. When everyone else is winding down, something in you switches on. The ideas get sharper, the world gets quiet, and your best thinking happens in the hours most people are asleep for. Evolutionary psychologist Satoshi Kanazawa studied thousands of people and found a consistent pattern. Those with higher measured intelligence were far more likely to be night owls. His theory is that seeking out the night, something our ancestors rarely did, is a mark of a mind drawn to the new and the unusual. The dark hours became a signature of a certain kind of intelligence. So if you feel most like yourself at midnight, you're not broken, and you're not lazy, you're simply wired to a different clock. If you're the kind of person who actually wants to understand how your own mind works, not just be told to fix it, but to really get it, then you're exactly who this channel is for. It would mean a lot if you hit subscribe. We break down the real psychology behind how people think every single week in a way that finally makes sense. Now, back to the habits. And the next few cut deeper. You worry a lot. Your mind runs every scenario, spots every problem, plays out every possible way things could go wrong. It's exhausting. And people love to tell you to just relax. But there's something underneath it. Psychologist Alexander Penny studied students at Makiwan University and found that those who worried more also scored higher on tests of verbal intelligence. The same mind that solves complex problems can't help turning that power on itself, running simulations of the future, hunting for the flaw before it arrives. So that anxious inner voice isn't weakness. It's an intelligent brain doing exactly what it's built to do, aimed at the one thing it can never fully solve. What happens next? Here's the part that doesn't get talked about nearly enough. And it might make you laugh. You have a colorful vocabulary. When the moment calls for it, you can swear with real style. People assume that means the opposite of intelligence. Poor language. A small vocabulary. But the science says something very different. Researchers Timothy and Kristen J. ran a study measuring what they called taboo fluency. They found that people who could rattle off the most swear words in a minute also tended to have the largest overall vocabularies. Fluency is fluency. A mind that can reach for the perfect curse is the same mind that can reach for the perfect word. So the next time your language turns a little blue, take it as a sign. Your brain has a rich, fast, well-stocked vocabulary, and it knows exactly how to use it. But this next one is where the picture gets a little heavier, because intelligence comes with a cost. You need to be alone. Genuinely need it. Not because you dislike people, but because too much time with them drains something you can't easily refill. For a long time, this got read as antisocial, but it may be one of the clearest signals of all. Psychologists Satoshi Kanazawa and Norman Lee found something striking. For most people, spending time with friends increases happiness. But for the most intelligent people, the opposite was often true. They were more satisfied when they had more time alone. Their theory is that a highly capable mind is busy, focused on its own pursuits, and crowds can get in the way of that. So if you crave solitude the way others crave company, nothing is wrong with you. Your mind may simply have somewhere it needs to go, and it needs quiet to get there. And this one wears a disguise. It looks like a flaw, but it's really a kind of hunger. You get bored fast. Faster than most people around you. A conversation goes shallow, a task goes routine, and you feel your mind pulling away, restless for something more. People read that as a short attention span. But look at what's underneath. A fast mind burns through information quickly. What satisfies most people simply isn't enough to hold it. Researchers link this pattern to a strong need for novelty and stimulation, the brain reaching for complexity because simplicity leaves it starving. Boredom, for the intelligent, isn't laziness. It's an alarm going off telling you this isn't worthy of the machine you're running. So if you're always chasing the next idea, the next challenge, the next bit of depth, that's not a defect, that's a mind that refuses to run on empty. The next one might be the strangest of all, because it's about what makes you laugh. You find dark things funny, the grim joke, the line that makes other people wince while you're already laughing. It feels like it should be a bad sign. It isn't. A team of researchers led by Ulrike Willinger at the Medical University of Vienna tested this directly. They found that the people who most appreciated dark, morbid humor scored higher in both verbal and nonverbal intelligence. Getting the joke takes real mental work. You have to hold two conflicting ideas at once and flip between them fast. That flip requires a sharp, flexible mind. So if your sense of humor makes people a little nervous, take it as a quiet compliment. It takes intelligence to laugh at the things that are hardest to look at. Which brings us to the last one. And it's the one that ties every other habit together. You disappear into things. Hours vanish. You look up, and the day is gone, and you never felt it pass. Everyone else calls it losing track of time. Psychologist Mihai Csikszentmihalyi gave it a name, flow. He spent his entire career studying it, and he found that the ability to lose yourself completely in a task is one of the strongest markers of a high-performing mind. In flow, the brain drops every distraction and pours everything into a single point. It's not just where great work gets done. It's where the mind is most fully itself. So when you vanish into a problem, forget to eat, forget the time, forget the world, You're not being scattered. You're doing the one thing your mind was built to do above all others, going all the way in. So look back at the list. Talking to yourself, drifting into daydreams, a messy desk, late nights, endless worrying, a sharp tongue, a need for solitude, boredom, dark laughter, and a mind that disappears into the things it loves. For years, you may have seen these as the parts of you that needed fixing, the quirks to hide, the habits to apologize for, but now you know what psychologists have understood for a long time. These aren't the cracks in an ordinary mind. They're the fingerprints of an unusual one. You were never strange for having them. You were intelligent in a way that doesn't fit the mold, and it was showing the whole time. If this sounded like you, I put together another video on the hidden strengths of people who think differently. It's right here when you're ready.